You're listening to Fight Jokes About Everything, a Night Shift Radio original. For more information, visit nightshiftradio.com, and thanks for subscribing. So for those of you celebrating, Merry Christmas. Happy Christmas, Ron. Happy Christmas, Harry. So it's Christmas time in a global pandemic. So kind of the first one for, I would say, anyone alive today, going through it. And man, are we going through it. You know, so the thing about the holidays, and we just kind of went through this with Thanksgiving, is it's all about, you know, getting together with family and you know, being with people and celebrating and spreading joy and cheer across the world. And, you know, it's really hard to do this time of year. I'm struggling myself. You know, I have a partner at home. I have a child at home, and, you know, we're celebrating Christmas, but we're locked in our house. Like, we can't go anywhere for this Christmas. We can't go visit other family. My daughter can't even go see her mom. Like, we are locked down completely to make sure that everybody is safe. And it sucks, and it's a huge sacrifice. And for everyone else that's making that same sacrifice, I see you, and we appreciate you, and we greatly appreciate those of you who are taking this seriously, especially here in America, where cases have been really bad and rising. You know, we really appreciate that. But, you know, Christmas is hard, but Christmas in general is kind of a hard time for a lot of people. And I know this episode is going to be kind of a downer, but I promise you we're going to make fun of things, and we're going to joke about stuff, and I'm going to bitch about Charles Dickens and Christmas in general. But, you know, Christmas means different things to everybody. For a kid, man, when you're growing up and like you come downstairs and you see all the presents down there, it is the coolest thing in the world. Like, nothing compared. Like, my birthday happens about a month before Christmas does, like about a month and a half before Christmas. And even as a kid, my birthday was awesome because I got to hang out with my friends. I got some cool presents, and it was great. And it was a party, and I got cake, and it was wonderful. But nothing beat the joy of Christmas. Coming downstairs, seeing the magic of Santa leaving presents for you was just, I mean, it's second to none, you know? And I get it. And again, for those of you that don't celebrate Christmas, you have your own magic too. Hanukkah has its own magic. You know, a lot of other religions and stuff like that, they have their own magical time of year, whether it's around this time or it's another time. You know, you have your moments of that. And maybe it's just your birthday, or maybe you're a Jehovah's Witness and you're like, what? You guys celebrate what? Which is cool, dude. I mean, you do you. Now, that being said, I do want to stress I am very much an atheist. So, you know, the spiritual meaning or the religious meaning of Christmas means absolutely nothing to me. But let's talk a little bit about that later. But the spirit of Christmas is still there. The idea of family and joy and you know, showing each other you care and all that stuff, and you know, dancing naked around a Christmas tree. Oh wait, that was just the pagans that did that. Anyways, a tradition that we should bring back. You know, and I get that, and I feel that, and it's man, is it tough in a pandemic. You know, it's a total downer to be like, hey, it'd be really cool to go to this person's house, and then maybe we'll go to my mom's house, and we're going to fight about, you know, stuffed mushrooms or something, and then everyone's going to, you know, get drunk, and, you know, my uncle will say something racist, and they'll be like, fuck, uncle, shit, what, dude, god damn it, now we got to go. And then we're going to get a giant garbage bag and put all our presents in the giant garbage bag and drag it to the car, and then get all the way home, and then be like, all right, so here's all the presents we got from grandma. Which ones are you going to throw away? Which ones are you actually going to use? Maybe that was just me. I don't know. That was how my Christmases always went as a kid. We would show up, and my grandma would have 100 presents for us, and half of them would be, you know, falling apart dollar store things, and they were really cool for like 6 hours, and then of course the arm fell off, and you're like, well, this is dumb and I don't want to play with it anymore. But it was really cool for that 6 hours. Let me tell you, I had some really dope robots back in 1994 that were awesome for 6 hours, you know. But now there's none of that. So what do? Well, may I make some recommendations? There's some great movies out. Muppet Christmas Carol, of course, is the absolute standard for the holiday. There's like 5 different versions of The Grinch. There's like one with Jim Carrey. There's like 2 animated ones. I think there's even a prequel one with The Grinch that stars Ben Matisyahu. I don't know. Doctor Strange. It stars him. And then there's another one that is and then there's like, what else is there? There's 8 million versions of A Christmas Carol that you could watch. There's like 3 versions of Miracle on 34th Street, but a new film that's out that you should totally watch is Jingle Jangle on Netflix. Absolutely magical. Oh, Nutcracker. There's just so many movies you could be watching that are out there. So there's that. You still have your opportunities to create magic and do magical things on your own. We've been making Rice Krispie treats. We decided to make half red and half green Rice Krispie treats and mix them together so they're red and green, very Christmassy. And those are what we will leave out for Santa. I get that you guys are listening on Christmas. I'm recording this before Christmas. Also, I realize that for those of you watching on YouTube, you just saw 3 episodes this week of me wearing the exact same outfit. Sorry, but I don't record these every day. I record them all in one day and then spread them out throughout the week, because that's the magic of content creation, as I don't have to do it live. But I pretty much wear this anyways all the time. So outside of Christmas pandemic, let's talk about Christmas. So all of which I'm about to tell you is the history of Christmas as I see it. It may not be factually accurate, but it's more funnier that way. So Christmas is a crazy holiday if you really think about it, because there's really 2 parts to Christmas. You have Santa, elves, Christmas tree, stockings, and then you have the birth of Jesus Christ in a manger because of people, and then 3 wise men on a bunch of camels brought a bunch of herbs and spices and was like, yeah, kids totally love fucking myrrh, don't they? And the kid was like, yeah, dude. So there's those 2 elements to Christmas that are completely crazy. And here's what's even crazier is that neither of them are accurate to when they actually are. This is the best part about this. So if you go to the Bible and you actually track the birth of Jesus and all that, it didn't happen during the winter solstice in December 25th. It actually happened closer to April of when Christians celebrate Easter, or the death of Christ. It actually happened more towards the springtime, as in the Bible they talk about, crops coming up and that sort of thing. Like this is that was more of a springtime activity. So that in itself isn't even accurate. But now we go over to the other part of the Christmas part, is that Christmas was originally a pagan holiday that as with most things that Christianity celebrates and traditions, they were stolen from the pagans or some other polytheistic religion or atheistic practice. So the pagans had this whole thing about the winter solstice, which happens actually a few days before Christmas. It actually happens like 4 or 5 days before Christmas actually happens. And, the idea was erecting the tree and the things that they did, all the little things, the stockings and the wreaths and the mistletoe and all that stuff were all part of the pagan things. And it was kind of all mixed together. Well, years later, mind you, now we're talking 1800s. In the 1800s, people were like, yo, fuck Christmas. Like, this is a time of sorrow. It's the winter solstice. We're not really celebrating anything. It's not a matter of that. Like, Easter was more of a big holiday than Christmas was, because of the idea that the death of Christ meant more, because he was dying for sins instead. So it meant more to them than the birth of Christ. The birth of Christ was just the spawning of everything, and they acknowledged it, but they didn't celebrate Christmas the same way they do now, and it wasn't as commercialized, which I guess great. I don't know, capitalism, down with capitalism. So it's the 1800s, and everyone's kind of like, Christmas, it's a thing. We, maybe we'll exchange some presents, have a dinner, and leave it at that. And then along comes this young fellow by the name of Charles Dickens. So Charles Dickens, again, none of this is factually accurate, but slightly factually accurate. Or maybe not at all, but likely factually accurate. So Charles Dickens came along and he was like, I'm going to write this story about, down with capitalism, and I'm a very successful commercial writer, and everybody's going to eat my shit up. Actually, he wasn't. He wasn't until after this, but he was actually considered somewhat of a hack. Possibly, again, maybe not be factually accurate. And so he writes A Christmas Carol, and the story comes out, and the whole idea of Christmas Carol really is about tackling, capitalism and consumerism, even though, back in the 1800s, that really wasn't much of a thing, but that's kind of what it was at. It was about taxing the rich and about understanding about hoarding wealth and not being generous, and the idea of charity. And he unleashes this book to the world, and everyone's like, fucking Dickens. But then what happens is there's this wave that goes over America at this point. Because mind you, like over in England, Christmas and other countries, Christmas isn't celebrated the same way. In England, it's a very much bigger deal now, and this is again akin to Charles Dickens. But in other countries, it's not celebrated the same way that it is now. I mean, nowadays, we're talking 200 years later, everything's a little different, and people celebrate Christmas in their own special way. But it's still kind of a big deal because it's a big deal for it's a big day for consumerism. In fact, a lot of retail stores are measured on Black Friday, on Christmas success, and a lot of companies rely on Christmas to literally make their year. There's tons and tons of medium-sized companies that are like, Christmas is what's going to make our fiscal year. Like, it's what's going to save my business. Maybe I'm dead during the summer or slow because I can't release products like Apple and sell 1 billion of them in day one. We rely on that like last minute Christmas trend of like buy cool things and give them as gifts. So there's a lot of companies that really rely on Black Friday and Christmas time. So A Christmas Carol happens, and in it, he describes everything is so magical, and it's about, a spirit of giving. And, we have Tiny Tim and Bob Cratchit, and they have their special party and this whole thing. And everything's so magical, and the tree, and, he's got the giant turkey and the whole spiel. And it kind of starts catching on, and people start celebrating Christmas because of this story. They start celebrating it the way that it happens in Christmas, and people start making a bigger deal of it. And as the result, ironically, people start then buying more gifts and buying more things and placing more than just maybe one thing under a tree, because they're like, oh, I really should be giving more, so I'm going to buy more during this season. And then eventually companies start piling onto that, and they're like, oh, wait a second, we can offload all our shitty things we've had throughout the year and say it's a sale, and then sell them to people all the Christmas time, because they're wanting to get rid of their money, because they're wanting to feel good about themselves and put the presents under the tree and have tons of cool gifts. And now they have all these cool people they can buy for. And so it just became this snowball of capitalism. And we can directly blame Charles Dickens for that. So in the event you ever are to hear Charles Dickens' name, you are required, as somebody who might be against capitalism, to be like, puh. So scoff all you want at Charles Dickens, because he is directly responsible for you having to buy every member of your family something for at least $20. So thanks a lot, Charles Dickens. Fuck you. But anyways, I hope you guys are being super safe this Christmas. By the time you're listening to this episode, you've already made your plans, and hopefully those plans are, I'm going to stay at home and watch a cool movie or something, and not anything reckless like going out and visiting family, because it is not safe yet. It is not safe. I say this as somebody who, trust me, I have experienced people not being safe and have directly felt the consequences. So it's not safe. So stay home, celebrate Christmas, scoff at Charles Dickens, watch some great movies. Might I recommend Scrooge? And another really great movie is Anna and the Apocalypse, musical zombie comedy. How could you go wrong, right? But definitely check those out. What are your favorite Christmas movies? I would love to hear them. You can tag me on Twitter at @TheMichaelFight. I would love to hear whatever your weird Christmas tradition is. I never really had any weird Christmas traditions. My biggest one was like, I don't know. I didn't really have any. Back when I was a kid, it was just go to my grandma's and watch everyone yell at each other in Polish and hope for the best. But now I don't really have any weird ones. I just have normal ones. So tell me what your weird Christmas tradition is. So go to @TheMichaelFight on Twitter, or just Michael Fight on Instagram. And of course, for more information, you can visit nightshiftradio.com. And thanks a lot for subscribing. It means a lot to me. And while you're at it, go ahead and leave a rating and review. Thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for listening and listening too. Either way. And I will see you on Monday.